Hey guys, today we are going to be drawing the 27 Amendments, additions to the Constitution of the United States. The easiest thing to do, because there are so many of them, is to take a standard white piece of paper and to fold it into thirds. This is the way that I fold into thirds. I kind of do an S shape, then I line up the corners. Does not have to be perfect by any means. I squash it flat. At this point, we have a hot dog folded piece of paper. What I want you to do is fold it in half and half again. This gives us almost 27 nice square pieces that we can go through and start writing through the amendments on. Now, as always, you don't have to draw everything that I draw, but if you'd like to, you totally can. This is just what I think helps me remember the 27 amendments and draw through them. So, amendment number 1 has to do with the right to ask questions of your government. I like to think of this as the question amendment. We don't live in a society that does not want you to participate, right? So, part of these things are freedom of religion, okay? So, we do not have a standardized state religion in the United States. You can be Christian, you could be Muslim, you could be any number of the world's predominant religions or non-predominant religions. There's Judaism, there's Buddhism, Hinduism. I'm sure there are many more. But as we're talking about religions, another part of the First Amendment is the ability to have free speech. This does not mean, as 8th graders, that you guys can go out and willy-nilly swear with your free speech. Free speech has a lot to do with free speech and state of mind. We do not live in a compulsory society that tells you what to think, do, or say, so you need to act responsibly. Okay? This is the same as freedom of the press. The press or news outlets are able to report things that they have the perception of fact, right? This doesn't mean that the First Amendment has ironclad protections, because you can get in trouble, right? So, for example, the First Amendment, you cannot threaten violence. You'd get charged with assault. You can't have a religion that, again, threatens violence as part of its religious creed, or you cannot print something that promotes violence in the news. That is the First Amendment. When we're talking about protections, right, another protection that's important is the Second Amendment. And the Second Amendment is the right to bear arms. Colonial militias during the Revolution, they had a kind of not that many weapons to protect themselves, and the people that they were against, the British soldiers, were supposed to be protecting them, but it wasn't a system where they felt that their life, liberty, and property were being protected. So the ability to protect oneself in order for peace is super important with the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. Okay? Remember that it's for peace. So some of the things that this equals out to today is having a well-regulated militia, which today is a National Guard. If a natural disaster happened, the National Guard is close enough that they could protect our property as well as our lives and liberty from marauders, looting bands, okay? Things that would devolve into anarchy pretty quick. And we don't necessarily want anarchy ever. Okay. As well as with the National Guard, we are able, with peace in mind, to form military and defense-oriented clubs like the NRA, the National Rifle Association, okay, which at this point went bankrupt. They're moving to Texas. Things that the Second Amendment does not allow you to do go against peace. So if we turned a peace sign from a peace sign into a nuke sign, you are not able to own a nuke, okay? And it looks more like a beach ball right now, but you are not able to have control of weapons of mass destruction and claim that it is your Second Amendment right. Okay. Next thing that we're going to talk about is the Third Amendment. The Third Amendment goes along these same lines, and they come as a discussion of pre-American Revolutionary War. What were the British doing? They were shutting down the ability to speak freely, the ability to protect oneself, and they were stationing troops inside the homes of colonists. Essentially, this invaded the colonists' privacy, but it was also an invasion of property because the troops were using the property of the colonists. And this is, according to John Locke, and just standard morality, not right to take another person's property. So there is no quartering of troops. And if it is a thing that is illegal, I'm just going to cross it out. Okay? Because these things are not okay. Okay, the next thing that has to do closely with pre-Revolutionary War American ideas is that there is no unlawful search and seizure. With Amendment number 4 through 8, we start talking about the rights of somebody that has been accused of being a criminal, okay? And I say accused because you are not guilty until proven guilty. You are innocent until proven guilty. So, there is no unlawful search and seizure. There cannot be somebody looking in your house or your property for something that would incriminate you without valid reason. Okay, sometimes these valid reasons might be like a warrant of arrest, or these things might be if a criminal runs into your home or something like that. This is no unlawful search plus seizure. Okay. The next thing, 5 through 8, has to do with due process. And due process is what we call the criminal conviction process. Okay. So, number 5, due process laws. So we have things called today called mens rea, right? And it's Latin for kind of criminal code. And these criminal codes protect you when you have been accused of a crime. You are unable to be used as a witness against yourself. For the Fifth Amendment, this is so that you are not compelled or forced to incriminate yourself. Another part of due process is to have trial by a jury. Trial by a jury is a good thing because of the amount of people and the amount of opinions in choosing your fate if you were accused of a crime. Okay. Number 5 are rights of the accused. You cannot incriminate yourself unless you are like somehow confessing that you've done something, but you are not supposed to be able to stand in front of a jury and incriminate yourself. And a jury is a group of people chosen from all walks of life to decide your fate in a criminal situation. Okay, number 6. It would be horrible to be accused of a crime and to have to sit and rot in a jail cell until they're able to hear your case and give you a chance to defend yourself. So, number 6 is a right to a speedy, fair trial. Now, what they mean by this is that sometimes there might be a jury member that has a biased opinion and they are looking to put somebody in jail for other reasons other than what is part of common law. That actually gets us to number 7, that anything over $20 can be a trial by jury as well as the ability to request, if it's within reason, another jury. Okay? And this is based on common laws. Our perceptions of laws that everyone holds in common. For example, if our guy up here committed murder is a common law that we recognize you shouldn't be killing other people. Okay? If you do happen to be accused and found guilty by a jury, by a court of law, we have rights of criminals so that our society doesn't devolve into a punishment-based state, okay? And what these laws are going to be are no cruel and unusual punishment. This includes excessive fines. If you steal a piece of bread because you're starving and you have your fingers and toes dipped in acid because of that, that would be a cruel and unusual punishment, but I'm sure that you could come up with your own at this point in time in your life. Okay, number 9. 9 and 10 have a lot to do with powers that are not expressly granted in the Constitution. No person has the ability to tell the future in its entirety, but we do know that the future is unwritten. So, number 9 and 10 are going to be things that are laws, not yet written, do not have to be written yet. But this doesn't mean that just because they're not written yet, that rights aren't bound by these pieces of paper, by the Constitution, or by state constitutions. So individual people on number 9, their rights not bound. And number 10, laws not written. The powers of states are not bound. There's some reasons for this. We never knew what the role of the internet would be, or the power of the states to regulate the consumption of alcohol or gambling, or regulate commerce with drones. Every single year, there's new things that come about that are going to be things that present questions that we should talk about. And if we need laws, we should be able to make them. Okay. Question number 11 also has to do with the rights of people versus states now. Instead of being bound by a federal government or a central government, question number 11 is going to be that people living in one state are not able to sue another state. You can sue people living in that state if you are wrong, but you cannot sue another state. Okay, for example, Utah sometimes has a more strict morality code because of the culture in Utah. And everybody could see Utah or somebody in Utah being mad enough to sue Nevada or sue Colorado or sue California for gambling or for marijuana or for any of those situations. We don't want the legal headache and the backlog that this would do to our federal system. This is a matter that should be solved in jury court instead. Okay. All right. Number 12 has to do with presidential elections. So, and after this, I'm going to hit pause on this video and I'll make another video for 13 through 27. These are kind of our later years. But number 12 has to do with president elections. Originally, it was the winner and the runner-up who would become president. We've had some pretty bitter presidential elections in the past couple years. We can imagine how not well this could go if these people are then tasked with working together and becoming president if you won first place and vice president if you won second. This same thing happened with Thomas Jefferson and Aaron Burr, who was the third president and supposed to be the third vice president. He was for a while until things happened. We'll talk about it in class. But not this, but this happens now, where a president, if they win, has already chosen their vice president, and they run on a party platform as a team. It is a winner-take-all system at this point to gain the presidency and vice presidency. and a loser take nothing. Okay, I'm going to pause because this is another 20-minute video. We are going to do 13 through 27 in the next run.